The average manager in America goes 10 years before they receive management training.
And you want to be a winning coach, what are you focused on? It's a perfect balance of relationships and outcomes.
Everyone's watching you. Everyone's waiting for you to slip up. So if you're a manager, your role has changed. Yay! And most of the people that you manage don't want to change. Woohoo!
But as leaders, we've got to focus on the behaviors. Behaviors lead to outcomes.
Because you are going to be facing some negative naysayers.
What we say here is the truth is undefeated.
Courage is contagious.
You're listening to the Credit Union Leadership Podcast, a podcast that delivers value and offers up insight that'll help your credit union grow. ServiceStar has been consulting with credit unions for over 20 years, growing them in the areas of cultural development, leadership development, and management training. To learn more about what ServiceStar can do for you or your credit union, check them out at servicestarconsulting.com.
Welcome to the Credit Union Leadership Podcast. You got Scott Anderle and
Scott Albrecht, the Scots.
I was about to guess your name, and I was off to a good start with But Albrecht, you know what we're talking about today? I'm pretty excited about the discussions we're going to have over this topic.
Yes, I am too. Very excited.
We're talking about managing former peers, which actually is a whole session we have in Emerging Leaders. And Albrecht, you've been doing this forever. You've been teaching emerging leaders for at least 5 years now. Tell me, what's the biggest challenge you see with emerging leaders when it comes to leading people they think of as their friends that were former equals, and now they're leading the team?
Yeah, either not owning their role, you got promoted for a reason, show that reason, or the change in that relationship, making that mindful and intentional shift from individual contributor to boss means that the relationship has to change. Those two, I'd say, would be the biggest ones.
Yeah. And I even think about my time where I've gotten promoted to leadership, and this would be peers as a position, but not peers by age. One of the things that was difficult for me is now I'm leading people that are older than me by decades sometimes. And how do I do that where I'm still maintaining the level of respect but also be leading our team to be performing at a high capacity? And that's what we're going to be really talking about today. The challenge we see is, man, we spend so much time training individual contributors, whether it's the teller, we give you 2 weeks of training, we tell you what to do, we give you the sales training, compliance training, we put you out in there, people fall in love with the credit union, you see the difference you're making, you say, yes, I want to keep growing here. And then they go, great, here's the keys, you're a manager, make sure the place doesn't burn down. And there's no training. Actually, Albrecht, what's that? You pull up a stat a lot when it comes to how often or how long does it take for managers to get trained?
Yeah, the average manager in America goes 10 years before they receive management training.
Man. So with that, a lot of us are just guessing or trying to figure out, how do I lead former peers? How do I navigate this whole lifestyle change with my job? And it reminds me of something the great Mike Neal says all the time regarding this. He says, managing former peers is the second hardest thing you will do in your career. He says the first is managing a former boss. But this is a really hard thing that most people deal with. So what we need to give people either a playbook of what to do, which guess what, in Emerging Leaders, we have that playbook. But today what we're going to talk about is three truths when it comes to managing former peers. We're going to answer listener questions that we've gotten submitted to the podcast or through our trainings that we do on site. And by the time this episode ends, we're going to give you a practical way to reset and do your leadership and be confident in managing former peers. Albrecht, what do you have to say before we get started?
We're going to tickle your fancy. Either you're going to be in this position in the future or you're currently in this role now. Either way, as we grow inside of the credit union movement and as we grow in our responsibility, we're going to grow teams. And some of those team members may be people that we formerly used to work with. Buckle up. It's about to get exciting.
So let's do this. We're going to go to office hours, answer these questions. And yes, we'll bring in the concepts that we teach. But then what we'll do is we'll give you a little bit of the playbook, some of the principles, and then we'll answer some more questions. So you'll hear answers. We'll be connecting it to the principles. And then you'll have those principles in mind when we ask the second half of questions. So let's go to office hours.
Let's go.
Office hours.
Hey, can I ask you a question?
We're back here with Office Hours, where we take listener questions or questions that were asked in our virtual, live online, or live on-site trainings. Today, we've got our producer, Ryan Neal, who makes all the magic happen. The questions have been submitted to him. So, Ryan, give us that first question.
All right. So the first question, how do I move from country club to winning coach without losing friendships?
How do I move from country club to winning coach without losing friendships? And this actually ties in to coaching essentials that we teach emerging leaders in our biggest product, Coaching for Performance. So the big thing I want to get to right here is a key principle of acknowledging the awkward. Acknowledging the awkward. As you move into leadership and you want to be a winning coach, what are you focused on? It's a perfect balance of relationships and outcomes. It's, hey, yes, I want you to know I care about you, but also I care about you reaching your fullest potential so our team can make the biggest impact on helping our members win with money. So this first thing, acknowledging the awkward, is one of the principles that we teach. Is you just sit down and say, hey, I've been promoted as a leader and this is important to me. And as I'm leading, we're going to be figuring some stuff out. And maybe I know how some of this stuff is, and maybe I don't know how some of this stuff is right now. I actually think of a great story. I had someone in Vertex that had just recently got a leadership role and had been working with a former peer. And it was about actually what we taught in coaching, catching people doing it right. And she caught her former peer doing it right. And her friend kind of laughed, and it felt a little awkward and cheesy the first time you catch people doing it right when you haven't built a habit. And they laughed it off a little bit. And then what Miranda did after that, she said, hey, I know this sounds a little weird, but I want you to know that it is really important for me to build this culture around service excellence, especially within our internal team. And when you did that, I really wanted to catch you doing it right, of living out our value. And this is important to me. So you're going to be hearing about this a lot more. And I think that is the perfect application of what does it mean to lead former peers. Yeah, there's going to be some awkwardness to it, and just acknowledging that. Albrecht, when it comes to, hey, I'm country club, but I want to get to a winning coach, but I don't want to lose my friends that I used to work with. What would you add to that?
Well, we get to see who your real friends are, don't we? Friends help each other. You got a new role. Congratulations are in order. Let's pop the bubbly and pretend like nothing's changed. Wrong. You do that, you're going to not only lose some friendships, you're going to lose a lot of team respect and lose your efficacy of your role as a manager. And so if they're really your friends, you should ask them for your help. Say, what? Yeah. Go to your friends and say, hey, this new role kind of puts us in a weird spot, to Anderle's point. I need your help. I want to have a significant impact on your development, which means the nature of our relationship has to change. So when I come and I meet with you and I give you minimum expectations, I need your help to take that seriously. Well, when maybe we don't do lunch together, I need your help to be okay with that. And so as I change my vocation, if I truly care about you as a friend, I'm probably going to change how I work with you so I can develop you to your highest potential. And that should make me more significant than I was before when we weren't working in that capacity. And if you really care about me, you'll accept that new level of role, which doesn't actually mean we get to go to concerts anymore. But it does mean that because you care, you're okay with that new world that we're going to have to play and live in. Everyone's watching you. Everyone's waiting for you to slip up. They know you're friends, and they're just waiting for you to start playing favorites, giving your friend the day off after somebody else requested it, leaving us all short-staffed the day after the 4th of July. And so
Yeah.
everyone's trying to figure out, how is this friendship going to burn us? And so we just got to get ahead of it with some transparency.
Good stuff. Well, let's keep going. I want to get to the next question. Ryan, what's that other question we got?
All right. So question number 2. I led alongside this person for 7 years. How do I lead them now?
And I think this could even be going from country club to winning coach without losing the friendship as well. It feels awkward. It feels like this is a special case scenario because I've worked with them for 7 years. Do I apply the concepts taught from the Emerging Leaders Managing Former Peers course? Well, yes. First thing, you acknowledge the awkward. We've been equals teammates for 7 years. As I come in and I start suggesting new behaviors that I want our team to enact that best lives out our purpose, it might cause a little bit of friction. We might realize some things aren't working. I think that goes with what you were just talking about, Albrecht, is, hey, if they're really your friend, hey, I need your help in making this work. Hey, if you're really my friend, we're going to need to figure out how this relationship may change in some areas. So acknowledging the awkward with them, but also what I would say is this goes right into the importance of the things we teach from all of our other courses of having your weekly one-on-ones or your monthly one-on-ones, the consistency with that, where you're acknowledging behaviors, you're helping coaching them for performance, whether it's redirecting unwanted behavior or catching them doing it right. But also part of this is when you're leading them, you know what, I'll just keep it right there. I think what's really important, acknowledge the awkward, keep to these coaching sessions. Albrecht, what would you add to that?
Oh, there's a new sheriff in town. What are we gonna do? Who died and made you boss? Listen, let's just go back to being bygones and let bygones be bygones. Okay, bygone? Well, that's got to be bygone because things are about to change. So we've got to make sure that the changes, which by the way, if you're paid to be a manager in the credit union industry, you're paid to change things, mostly behaviors and others who don't want to change. So if you're a manager, your role is change. Yay. And most of the people that you manage don't want to change. Woohoo.
Yeah.
It's critically important that you tie the changes not to your own personal prerogative. It's critically important that you tie the changes not to your bias or your opinion, because again, 7 years is a long time to figure out that you probably don't do these things that you're asking them to do. They probably know your gaps. They know your weaknesses. And so for 7 years, they've been studying you like you've been studying them. So tie these changes to a bigger thing outside of your purview, a mission, a North Star. Have the team help you come up with a team mission that they can all align to so you can row the boat together, one row at a time.
And then when someone's not rowing, it makes it a lot easier to say, hey, when you weren't rowing, we're not reaching the destination we're going to. Or
And
when
now
they
we're
are
going in
rowing, make
circles.
sure you catch them doing it right.
Yeah. Someone stops rowing, we're going in circles. You know what I'm saying? So
Oh, no, we're lost. So, Albrecht, with these questions, you can see there's a common theme of, yeah, but my scenario is special. Why? Because we're really good friends and I won't lose it. Hey, my scenario is special. Why? Because I've worked with them 7 years. That's a long time. What do I do? Well, Albrecht, you've been doing this for a while. You've been a manager in the credit union space. I want to transition from office hours to story time. Stories with Scott.
story time. It is story time. Get that book, crack it open, and let's look at what has happened in the past. It's story time.
What's a story you have about managing a former peer, or a story that you've heard working with somebody?
Yeah, so I'm working with a credit union right now. Person was in HR, just got a new role. She's over member experience, and she's trying to work on being the same person that everyone knows her as, but also being firm in her new kind of setting of expectations. And that's kind of a two worlds clashing kind of thing. And I like that you can do both. You can still be the friendly go-to HR person, and if anything, you have that hat and you have that kind of understanding and awareness of where the conversation may lead to if the expectations are not in alignment with your setting of expectations. And so she's doing the right thing. She's setting expectations early, because I can't hold you accountable for something if I never told you what that something was. I'll give you an example. I gave this to her on the phone the other day. It'd be like getting pulled over on the highway when there's no posted speed limit. Now, some of you that are listening are in rural areas and you know that the speed limit's 55 when it's not posted. But I'm saying like major highway, they've never put up speed limits. You get pulled over and they say, hey, by the way, you're going 77. Here's your ticket. That you can fight that in court. You'll probably win. And the same thing is true when you try to pull somebody over, quote unquote, at work for not coming to work on time when you never actually sat down and told them what time we start in the first place. Well, everyone knows it's 8 o'clock. Well, did you ever say that out your mouth? You see, things that you think are everyone knows with 5 generations of workplace need to be specifically told, especially early in that new role. So you've been working with somebody as a peer. Now you're a manager. Get in front of that and sit down with yourself and think about, what does winning look like for me? Now, when I asked her to do that, she started coming up with goals, KPIs, etc. And I really need to redefine this for us. So I'm going to redefine it for you as well. When I say what does winning look like, I'm saying we don't curse at work. It's not getting a certain goal or big, hairy, audacious goal achieved. It's the little things, the little
Yeah.
tiny details like putting a smile in every email, not gossiping about people behind their back, putting the best construction on why somebody might have done things. These are little details that depict whether you're meeting my expectations as an employee with your behaviors on a day-to-day basis or not. And so the sooner I can come up with that list, the sooner I can communicate that list to my new team, the better. And so that's what she's working on right now.
Oh man, that's really good. So what I'm hearing is focus on building trust, which we talk about in a lot of our concepts, but you gave a practical action on how to build trust, which is saying these are expectations, these are service standards that we have. And if we're all on the same page of what are these standards that I say the ideal team player should live up to, we're going to move faster, get more done. And yes, we will reach those KPIs and outcomes, but as leaders, we've got to focus on the behaviors. Behaviors lead to outcomes. Man, powerful. So let's leave you with that power ballad and get to our first ad.
Service Stars target leadership. Credit unions executives, we cannot afford to have breakdowns in key leadership areas. If you have breakdowns in communication, what's that going to create? Unnecessary conflict, drama, and just dropping the ball. If we have breakdowns in relationship, what does this create? Mistrust, toxic environments. If there's breakdowns in alignment, we're wasting effort. We're losing time. There's division. Breakdowns in execution. Oh my gosh, we're talking about unmet goals, missed deadlines, blown budgets, and damaged credibility. These are the things you don't want. What you need to do is gain insights into your strengths and weaknesses by diagnosing each of these leadership areas and pinpointing opportunities for improvement. And guess what? Service Star Consulting and Giant Worldwide are joining forces to nurture credit union leaders who can inspire. We've got a certified coach, Peter Tyson, who is going to test these out and work on these skills to help you develop your talent, your alignment, your reflection, your growth, your engagement, and tailored coaching sessions, one-on-one coaching sessions where you get to reflect what you've learned on during these courses. This is a great thing. If you've taken Emerging Leaders and Vertex, this is the next step in your leadership journey. This is meant for managers, directives, and executive leaders. It's also meant for people that want to become executive leaders. So don't wait. Sign up today. The link is in the show notes.
Albrecht, before we keep going with these questions, I want to give the listener some valuable nuggets from emerging leaders managing former peers. No, I'm not saying let's tell them all the secrets and the 6-step process, but I do want to talk about the 3 truths that we're going to really anchor all these answers to. So, Albrecht, let's break this down. The first truth I want to talk about is acknowledging the awkward. And what we say here is the truth is undefeated. And I think this goes to what you were talking about, popping the champagne. It's, hey, if you've gotten promoted, everyone knows it. If you've gotten promoted and you have friends, everyone knows it. And they're looking out to see, what are you doing with them? Your friends know, hey, what's going to happen? This is weird. And guess what? You're a leader now. You've got to make intentional decisions. You don't wait for something to happen. You don't wait for your friends to come and say, hey, can we talk about this? That would be unleadership. So the truth is undefeated. So as a leader, what do we need to do? Acknowledge the awkward by setting parameters, by having a one-on-one, really with every person on your teammate to talk about how does this change look, but especially with those people when it comes to managing former peers that were your friends. And Albrecht, when we talk about setting these new parameters, I think this goes right into your story with who you were talking to about setting these behavioral expectations. What are some other things that our listeners should put in this agenda when setting new parameters?
Yeah, so first and foremost, let's go over the job description. Let's have a look at what they do today. This is probably where you can also ask for their help and say, we probably need to update this if we ever hire for this position again. So do me a favor, jot down some notes of things that you definitely do today, maybe some things you don't do today. And in the margins, put some of the things that we don't even have on the job description. They're kind of like key elements of your role. And so gets the conversation starting. You're bringing them in. I think that's a huge kind of aha moment for me is I can't be a dictator early on. I can set my minimum expectations, but as much as I can, I want to bring them in on mission. I want to bring them in on what they do, challenges that are kind of getting in their way. I want their voice to be heard, even though they might not have their vote, like they at least, I understand them. I understand where they're coming from, which means I'm probably not going to make a bunch of changes carte blanche without actually having them go through, hey, what do you do? Is it this? Is it that, something different? And then I can have that conversation about, what's not on the job description, standing when members came in. Because if that wasn't my job description, they'd call me a crazy person and they'd never apply in the first place. But it is a minimum expectation of me. And so I think it's fair, since we're starting on a new foot, new page, I'm turning over a new leaf in my career, that I share with you all the little proclivities that I'm going to set up this team culture to look like. And here's that list. So that's part 2 of this meeting. And the last part is you turn it around to them and you ask them, what does it look like to have a coach that's winning? What are some of the winning behaviors in a coach that you see? So that's my 3-part agenda for this one-on-one is, hey, take a look at this job description. Do we need to make any changes to it based on what your role to be? And then, hey, by the way, here's some things that I can't put on the job description that are my minimum expectations. And then the third thing is, hey, what do you expect in a great leader? And again, I'm not trying to play the game like we're still peers, more so that I need their help. And I think more people are receptive to someone who comes to them from that standpoint. Hey, can you help me with something? You take a look at this job description versus, hey, so, I'm the new sheriff in town. Here's what I expect of you. And so I think the way that you approach it is really impactful. If you're saying, in light of our mission, can you help me with this? Here's a job description. Can you tell me what's working today? What's maybe missing, etc.
What I'm hearing is lead with purpose and partnership. Now, with this, I think this is a great transition to the second point. What we've talked about is the truth's undefeated. So you need to acknowledge the awkward and really set elements for building trust and truth. And what does this look like? Which goes to our second truth, which is this is an uphill battle. As Mike Neal says, is as you become a leader, your team will assume the worst about you. And the examples that we give could be things like you give maybe a former peer that used to be your friend the Monday after a holiday off. And then someone else asks off that same day and they're thinking in their head, I bet they're going to say no to me just because I wasn't their friend originally. And they like that person. They're going to do anything they can do and blah, 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 blah. And then they request it. And you know what? You're fully staffed. You're good. So you give them that time off and they just go, oh, that's weird. They don't think, oh, man, they are treating everyone equally and fair as a leader. No, they're always assuming the worst about us. This is an uphill battle. And I love what John Maxwell says. He says anything uphill, anything good is uphill. There will be challenges that we'll need to navigate. There's not a playbook, which means that's why these 3 truths are so important. Acknowledge the awkward. Know that this is going to be an uphill battle. And with this, that means keep your promises, be consistent in your actions. Albrecht, from your experience of being a leader, from you talking to a lot of leaders and helping them managing former peers, what does this keep promises, being consistent to take advantage of this uphill battle look like?
Yeah. So you need 3 walking sticks if we're hiking up a hill. Okay. So
1, 2,
look in the brush.
3.
Go ahead and grab your first walking stick. That's going to be the emotional energy it takes to go uphill with a team, change culture, and know it's going to take probably 5 years to actually get everybody on the same page and living those behaviors missionally to the point where you hire in a new hire and they're like, oh, this is weird. This department's weird. But every other department looks at your department and says, I wish I could be more like that department. They'll call you crazy before they start
5
calling
years
you for help.
Yeah, that's a little crazy. Keep going.
Yeah, they'll call you crazy before they start calling you for help. And so it takes emotional energy and insane amounts of positivity to cast this vision and give people hope that there's light at the end of the tunnel when we're changing so many behaviors with so many people and onboarding new people that to get a culture that's clicky, a culture that kind of just stands on its own from a differentiator standpoint, it's going to be something that you almost have to be enthusiastic beyond where maybe you naturally are. And so finding what fills your cup so that you can overflow is important for this first walking stick. Maybe it's time in the woods. Maybe it's time listening to your favorite podcast, the Credit Union Leadership Podcast. But whatever it is that fills your cup, work on that mindfully and intentionally. Get that walking stick to the point where you can come in and share that emotional energy to drive that change. Number 2, self-discipline. We're all going out for drinks after work. Well, not you, new manager. You might love a little drink, and sure, when you get home, you'll enjoy one. But this is an opportunity for you to learn more about your employees. Ask them what they love to do outside of work. Don't miss this opportunity by ordering food. Let them order food. You eat at home. You're going to just go eat or talk to people while they're eating. Talk to people while they're drinking. You're going to work the room, but you're not going to go out for drinks with one person on your team because that's going to look like favoritism. You're only going to go if there's an entire team going, and you're going to be above reproach, meaning you're not going to put yourself in a situation where somebody could say something bad about you, knowing that that negative construction is going to be there and always kind of hanging over your head. So that's self-discipline. That's your second walking stick. And the third walking stick is courage, because you are going to be facing some negative naysayers, people that maybe were quiet for your entire career, but now that you're in charge, behind your back, they're kind of sabotaging a little bit of sabotage, if you will.
Listen, all y'all, this is sabotage. Beastie Boys.
So when you're walking uphill and you know that there's boulders coming at you, it takes courage to keep on taking steps towards that light, towards that hope, towards that vision that you're casting for the rest of the organization. And courage is contagious. And so when they see you take that next step, even though you know that there's fire coming at you, it allows the team to also know, okay, well, we're behind you. Even though we don't know where we're going, we trust you because you've got this vision and you're taking these steps up the hill. So courage, self-discipline, emotional energy. You're going to need these three walking sticks if you're going uphill, baby.
And all three of them together. That's a really good point, courage, and how it really brings everything together. But listeners, as you become a leader, don't be caught off guard when all of a sudden you hear someone say something bad about you or about your leadership, or, oh man, they're going crazy that we have to do all these new behaviors. That will happen and it will hurt. All right. It's part of the game. It's an uphill battle. Use that radical optimism. Use that consistency being above reproach to help fuel the consistency, help fuel that persistence. Which gets us to the third one. If people are saying some things about you and it hurts, and you're like, wait, but I thought they were my friends. The third truth that we teach, these are your contextual friends. Albrecht, contextual friends. Unpack that for me.
Yeah, so significance, right? So I have relationships right now. What's the significance of those relationships? What I like to do is I like to take this and I like to flip it on its head. And I like to ask people, and I'm going to ask you, the audience listener, to tell me who's the most significant person that's impacted your life from a career standpoint. Do you have their kind of image in your mind? I'm guessing that person wasn't overly concerned about being your friend, but they were more concerned about your progress. And so if I'm going to potentially put myself in a situation where I don't want my feelings to get hurt, that's hurting other people because I'm getting in the way of developing them through fear of conflict. Rather, if I look at conflict and growth as my ambition, then even though it may make that friendship unsettling at the moment, it may give me that chance of being the most significant person in their life. And I can get a friend by going to a Chamber of Commerce networking event, but to get a mentor, to get a leader who cares about me, that takes mindful intentionality and getting hurt. I'd rather take the pain of hurt versus giving the pain of hurting people by being afraid of change.
Yeah, that's a really good point of this idea of contextual friends is, hey, right now I'm acting as your leader. But the other point I would bring into this idea of contextual friends is this idea that, hey, if you happen to get another job and you went a few states away, would you be talking to this person every day just as much as you're talking to them with your job? Probably not. Yeah, and there are some that you're like, no, I'm going to bring them with me and I'm going to call them every day after work. You still talk to them. I think about my good friends from college. I still talk to them, but it's few and far between. It's not every day like I get to talk to Albrecht and Ryan, who I work with, but I still make a point to talk to them, but it might be once a month, might be once a week. So understand that these people you work with are friends within context. What do you talk about? You talk about work. Maybe you talk about some stuff outside of work too. But if y'all got together, what else would you talk about? Would it be awkward? And if you moved to a different state and got a different job, how often would y'all be reaching out, making a point to talk to each other and see each other as well? So with this, let's take these truths, all right? Acknowledging the awkward because the truth's undefeated. It's an uphill battle, so we need that radical optimism or the motion. We need the consistency, and we need the. How did you word the third walking stick,
Courage
Albrecht?
is contagious, man. We got to keep taking
Courage.
steps.
And then the truth 3 is contextual friends. As we answer these, the second batch of questions, we're going to anchor it all to these 3 truths. So yeah, there might not be a roadmap. It might be a little ambiguous, but as long as I have these truths, these principles in my heart, it makes it a lot easier knowing where to go as a leader. So let's take it to office hours.
Office hours.
Hey, can I ask you a question?
And we're back, and we are taking your questions live. But because it's a previously recorded podcast, you might not have got your question in. It's okay. Submit it for the next one, and we'll get it. You'll probably hear it in 2027. Yes. But Ryan, what are the questions that we have on the line here from previous podcasts that we've done?
First question. If I stop going to lunch with my closest work friend, am I being fake?
Oh, I like this. Well, if you stop going to lunch every day with your work friend, you're going to save some money. So you're welcome. Financial wellness. Secondly, if I stop going to work with my friend, does that make me fake? I think if you start phoning it in and being a phony by pretending like you didn't get a promotion in the first place and just keep on doing what you're doing and not changing anything, that's the fake management style that I'd be afraid of. What say you, Anderle?
Man, that's nothing. That was brilliantly put. What I will do is I will tie it back, anchor it back to those 3 truths that we teach in emerging leaders, which first you said, if you continue going to lunch with them, acting like nothing has changed, you are phoning it in. That goes right with truth number 1. The truth is undefeated. So as a leader, I must acknowledge the awkward. We've got things are going to change in our relationship. Things are going to change in our day-to-day activities. That brilliantly said. Well, let's go ahead and go on to question 2.
All right. How do I handle "you're not doing real work anymore" comments?
Oh, yeah. How often have you heard that one, Albrecht?
Yeah, well, you should just lead by example. I'm not afraid to roll up my sleeves and do the things that I'm excited to have my team do. And no, if you start doing all the urgent and all the important things, you're going to leave your team with less to do, and eventually they're going to get disengaged, and you're going to wonder why you've got problems on your team. Well, they've got time to gossip now because you're doing all of the work, and so don't fall into the temptation of feeling like because you're not an individual contributor that you're not contributing individually. Now your individual contributorship is leveled up a little bit where you are contributing to each individual on your team. And it's not you're behind them with a checklist and like a traditional manager might be portrayed as. We're all working managers. This is a credit union industry, baby. We got way more than on our plate than we have time to get done. And so you are still an individual contributor, but you're contributing to individuals, and that's what's different. Anderle, what say you?
This anchors right into truth number 2. It's an uphill battle. And part of that, what we talk about is some employees may assume or will assume the worst about you. And people are like, yeah, I believe that. And then all of a sudden you hear something like, you're not doing real work anymore. Oh, ouch. This is exactly what we're talking about when it comes to employees will assume the worst about you. This is exactly what we're talking about when we talks about that uphill climb and needing those 3 walking sticks of the emotional energy, the radical optimism, of the consistency and you meeting your standards. And part of that, I think, is consistency and you understanding that what got you promoted is not what's going to keep you in that role. You need a coach. You need to set standards. You need to lead towards a mission now. And all of that goes to number 3, Albrecht, the third walking stick.
Oh, courage. Yeah, you're gonna need, if we're going to higher ground, we're gonna need some courage. Yeah, some courage. Because we're taking on fire. Taking on fire from our own friendly fire. Our own employees are shooting at us. It takes courage to take that next step.
Yeah, it sure does.
But the end result, that's the light at the end of the tunnel. We got hope. That's what that's a higher ground has hope, baby. And we're going there regardless of who's with us and who's against us. You know what? We might have to weed out some of the who's against us to get to the higher ground. But we can't allow it to detract us, because cowardice is also contagious. So if we start to cower in fear and start doing some of the individual work that got us promoted to management, then we are losing our step and losing our ground and our
Preach.
footing on that next level of success.
Yeah. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. You've been promoted to be a leader because you've gotten so much done. And now your leadership team says, we want to get more done. So we expect you to get more done through others. So, guys, as we end off this podcast episode, I hope, or I believe strongly, that we have served hope to new managers, making the jump from teammate to leader. Clear steps, real talk, and tools that actually work. We've anchored it to the 3 truths that we teach from our managing former peers, but we didn't even give you the 6 steps of what to do when you become a leader. So make sure you sign up for Emerging Leaders and come to that course to get more information. Also, if you've got more questions, guess what? You can submit questions in writing or record your voice. We made it really easy. Just click the link in the show notes. Guys, we're here to inspire current and aspiring leaders in our movement with real world advice and situations. Till next time, I'm Scott Anderle.
And I'm Scott Albrecht.
Interested in submitting a question to the Credit Union Leadership Podcast, we want to hear from you. Go in our show notes. We have a link over there. And in that link, it's going to take you to 2 options. You can submit a question written out through email, or you can submit an audio recording through SpeakPipe. We make it super easy. Go to the link in the show notes, click audio recording. Once you click audio recording, it's going to take you straight to a website where you just press the record button. You've got 90 seconds to submit a question or submit you catching doing somebody do it right. And then you just type in your name and email address, and that's it. It comes straight to us, and we'll take it from there. So you don't need to download anything. You don't need to get any new software. You just go to this website, press record, and click submit, and we're good to go. So go to the link in the show notes. Click if you want to submit a question written out or through audio, and we'll take it from there. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time.
An investment in leadership is one that pays dividends in your others. I'm Scott Albrecht, guest on the Credit Union Leadership Podcast and Vice President of Learning and Development. And man, oh man, our upcoming Emerging Leaders course is something that I didn't get as a department manager over several departments in the credit union movement. And the average manager in America doesn't go to manager training until they've been a manager for 10 years on average. We send the average teller to 2 to 3 weeks of teller training. And yet, as a manager, we just give them the keys to the Jeep and we tell them not to break it. Drive it like you stole it. Maybe even prayers and our best thoughts are with you, but no management training. And so Service Star Consulting is here to fill that void with our Emerging Leaders class, where your talent will get topics like effective mentorship, building trust, coaching for performance, leadership hacks, and many more. Join us at our next upcoming cohort. We've got 2 that launch every year. We're so excited about having your talent at the next Emerging Leaders cohort.